Today, we're going to dive into a story that honestly, it just defies belief. It's a story about human endurance pushed way beyond its absolute limit. This is the incredible, almost unbelievable tale of Flight 6. It's a question we see in movies all the time. But what happens when it's not a movie? When every single odd is stacked against you? What does it actually take to keep going? To live? 48, right now, that's just a number on a screen. But trust me, by the end of this, that number is going to mean so much more. It's the symbol for one of the most astonishing survival stories ever told. Yeah, this is the story of how 48 souls, completely forgotten by the world, managed to survive the unsurvivable. And our story? It begins way up in the sky. Okay, so picture this. The date is October 15th, 1995. Pan Am Flight 6 is just cruising over the Pacific Ocean. It's a routine luxury flight, Hawaii to San Francisco. People are reading, maybe napping, looking out at that endless blue. And then, in a split second, that piece is just gone. It's pure chaos. First, the plane is hijacked, but before anyone can even process that, the hijackers fly them straight into the heart of a massive typhoon. For 2 solid hours, the pilots are fighting this storm, but it's too much. The engines fail. And as the plane is just hurtling towards the water, a few passengers actually manage to overpower the hijackers, and right before impact, they leap from a broken door into that churning ocean. The plane hits the water in a fiery explosion. Of the 77 people on board, somehow, miraculously, 60 people survive the impact. But here's the thing. They've only traded one absolute nightmare for another. Now they're adrift in the middle of the Pacific, surrounded by terrifying waves. So they're clinging to life in the water, and they spot this sliver of hope. A little rock formation just 100 meters away. Using every last ounce of strength they have, all 60 of them manage to pull themselves onto it, soaked, terrified, and completely alone. And it's on this rock that a passenger remembers he has binoculars. He looks out, and through the mist, he sees it. Land. An island, maybe half a kilometer away. Hope just rushes back. The strongest swimmers, they have to go back into that deadly water, fighting the waves, fighting sharks. It's an agonizing struggle, but they reach the shore, build a makeshift raft out of whatever debris they can find, and go back, trip after grueling trip, until all 60 survivors are safely on that island. But that feeling of relief, it doesn't last long. This isn't some tropical paradise. It's a desolate piece of sand and rock. There's no food, there's no fresh water, there's nothing. They've escaped the ocean only to be trapped in a whole new kind of prison. The brutal reality of their situation starts to sink in. And just as everyone's starting to give up, one man, a school teacher named Mr. David, he steps up. He rallies these broken survivors. He reminds them, hey, our only chance is if we do this together. And so they begin the impossible task of creating a world from nothing. Their priorities become almost primal, water, food, shelter. They figure out how to collect rainwater. This one young guy, Michael, risks his life climbing these super tall coconut trees. Others start whittling branches into crude spears. And after failing over and over, they finally catch one small fish. They cook it, and every single person gets one tiny piece. But that one bite, man, it was so much more than food. It was a symbol. It was their very first victory against this island. They never gave up hope of being rescued, though. They cut down trees to spell out this giant help sign on the beach. And one day, it seems like their prayers are answered. They see a plane. They're screaming, they're waving, lighting fires. They are sure this is it. But the plane, it just flies on. It never saw them. For a lot of them, that was the moment real hope died. Those first few months were just brutal. Sickness, starvation, and pure despair. They claimed 10 lives. The group, now down to 50, has to bury their friends in the sand. And back in the civilized world, well, the official search is called off. Pan Am Flight 6 and everyone on it are declared lost at sea. The world mourns them for a little while, and then it moves on. 2 years pass. Can you imagine? 2 years. The survivors are in a routine, they know how to exist on the island, but they're not really living. And then, one single event comes along and changes absolutely everything. A baby is born. In this place of death and desperation, a new life begins. And the sound of that baby's cry, it just cuts through all the despair. It was a miracle, and it completely shifted their mindset. They weren't just surviving for themselves anymore. Now they had a future to build, a new generation to protect. After that, the years just start to blur. A whole decade goes by. The survivors, they don't just endure, they build an actual society. They create a new civilization in total isolation, a lost colony that the rest of humanity has no idea even exists. Their entire reality was transformed. I mean, think about the things we worry about. Our careers, bills, traffic. All of that was replaced by the most fundamental challenges you can imagine. Finding water, catching fish, and just staying alive another day. It's a pretty stark reminder of how thin the veil of our modern world really is. So what did this little society look like? Well, Mr. David, the teacher, he started a school for the kids born on the island, teaching them about a world they had never even seen. The anniversary of the crash wasn't a day of mourning. They called it Survival Day, a celebration of their own resilience. They recreated society from memory with roles and traditions. Over the next decade, 5 more kids were born, but they also lost 7 more adults. And the population finally settled at that number we saw at the very beginning, 48. 13 years. For 13 years, this is their life. The kids born on the island are now teenagers. For them, this is the world. It's all they've ever known. And then, one morning, a sound breaks the silence. A sound they haven't heard in 4,745 days. It's the horn of a massive ship. At first, they think they're imagining it, but then it sounds again, louder this time. They just sprint to the beach, screaming, waving with every single ounce of energy they have left. And this time, the ship sees them. The ship stops. The long, terrible wait is finally over. When they get back, the world is just in shock. I mean, nobody can believe their story. It sounds like something out of a novel. But then, a diary that one of the survivors kept emerges, and it meticulously documents every single day of their 13 years on that island. Every death, every birth, every single struggle and small victory. That diary proved that the impossible was true. Their story just captivated the entire globe. They were like ghosts who had returned to a world that had forgotten all about them. Their ordeal was eventually turned into a book, The Lost Survivors of Flight 6, which cemented their unbelievable journey into history. But their return, it leaves us with one last, really profound question. Sure, they came back to our world of cars and buildings and the internet, but after creating a whole new life, a new society, and raising kids in a world so completely different from our own, did they ever truly come home?